Alright, so how are you tonight? I'm going to try to do another sketch. Let me get my charcoals ready. Alright. And tonight I would like to try to again sketch a little bit some human figure forms. So I'm going to try to be a little bit, unleash a little bit my ideas. So basically what I would like to do it's creating a figure that we will see the whole form. We will see the head, the body, the legs, and I have this idea to make it looks this form like this woman. She's turning around, maybe with your hand around her neck and twisting a little bit the hips, just to give a sense of movement. In the same time, this will give me the opportunity to be a little bit more free with imagination. In the same time, it will give me the opportunity to kind of see how much imagination I have in my mind while I'm trying to configure within my mind the shape of a human form. So this will be a little bit all improvising, and I always love to do things like that because again I don't have a firm specific image or model or subject that will trap my attention to be too precise of what I'm seeing. Because most of the time what it creates difficulties in creating a drawing from reality by watching, by looking at a subject from reality, is that we become too much overcritical of what we are been looking, what we've been watching. In this case, no. It's really just letting the imagination a little bit flow, and at the same time try to put together this idea of creating an image that does have a sense of human shape, a human form. So I'm just going to let my hand moving on the paper, and kind of by the movement of the hand on the paper with the charcoal, I will try to visualize using my imagination and using my intuition by size what is happening on the paper. So here we go. I'm gonna give a try for 2-3 minutes, and then I'll stop and maybe I'll talk a little bit what was happening in my mind. Or perhaps I might just say, I will just say loud what is going on while I'm starting to do these little marks. Like I say last time when I had the live stream, I'm using this little charcoal. They're just small little sticks of woods. Then I collect outside from my backyard, and then I bake like potato bake. I bake on my wood stove, and they become charcoal. They're really fragile, but really, really nice, and also really soft when I use my hand, my fingertips to smear the piece of paper. So it's probably one of the most antique and historically one of the most older way for artists to sketching ideas, because it's really forgiving. If we don't like whatever we do with the charcoal, we can wipe it off with a cloth and go back and do it again. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to start with this idea of this human shape. Like I say, the top, I want to have an head, the head that kind of twist. You will see the shoulder, an arm holding the neck and the shoulder in the back, and then the hips twist towards us and the legs all the way down. So I'm gonna try to create this little fantasy design. So here I'm going to establish how big everything will fit in the paper, and I would like to use the whole length, heights of the paper. So I will imagine that this will be the space of the head, the shoulder, the hips. As you can see, it's really light. So I'm not drawing a strong line like I just did it now, but I'm going to do another one beside without a lot too much pressure on the pepper. As you can see, it's really almost not visible to the eye. So I'll just use these soft little lines to start to visualize and found the boundaries of what I see in my mind and what is I see with my eyes on the pepper. It's a really kind of interesting little way to contemplate how our perception works, because I'm really looking forward to find these boundaries. It's my imagination boundaries that happen in my mind. I'm trying to imagine this human figure within this pepper. And then on the other side of the boundaries, there is the piece of paper with the marks of the done with the charcoal. They will kind of guide me through this way of discovering and revealing something that I just see in my mind, and slowly will be constructed in a piece of paper. The beauty of this, that I'm not putting too much, I'm not trying to be too much specific, too much in detail, but I'm looking forward instead to unleash a little bit this way of sketching, and looking forward to, you know, some interesting maybe ideas, visual ideas, that I can use later on for creating a larger canvas. So here we go. So I'm gonna start to do this. So I'm going to be a little bit silent with my voice. Also because when we draw, when we sketch, when we paint, or whatever we do, you see that the verbal language kind of creates an impediment of what we can only describe without using words. Basically, it's like I'm trying to describe something that is not verbal, but it's all literally, it's all done with marks on the paper. And also you see, I kind of scribble and scratch a little bit the surface really light, so that little messy marks that I leave on the surface of on the paper, it gives us a suggestion of reinforcing visually the realist look of what I'm trying to look for. So I'll go like that. So I like to have like the shape of an arm, like she's touching her hair. That's the elbow, and that's the shoulder right there, the other side of the shoulder. Chest. I hope you enjoy the music in the background. I always like to listen to the kind of music that doesn't have lyrics, so I will not feel distracted. Okay, I like to kind of see these curves like that. can see, I'm kind of really trying to envision the shape using just my hand, kind of guide a little bit. Actually, I want to have the knees like that. Maybe shave just the tip of the foot. Sense what I'm doing right now. Like I say, I'm not particularly overcritical at this stage. I just want to see a little messy form start to occupy the whole space of this piece of paper. Okay, so after I've done something like that, I like to start to see maybe the outside shape of the body. So basically what I'm doing, I'm just putting some charcoal, some little dusty charcoal down, because the little charcoal, it gives us the chance to be smeared on the surface and creating some kind of background. A background that will be kinda interesting to see, because it creates a sense of silhouette, and by looking the silhouette of the form, automatically we're gonna start to see a little bit more the whole shape start to revealing himself. And again, see, with the charcoal, I'm trying to follow this shape, this curvy movement. Also because I like the idea that she's not running, she's not moving, she's kind of posing, but her body language with the elbow doing that, it wants to kind of give a sense of twist. And I always like the idea that when I do a painting or a drawing, especially with figures, human forms, I always like the idea that creating the illusion of a sense of movement, because I know that the drawing, the painting, it doesn't move. It's a really static image. So that will be kind of interesting to see if I can kind of apply the feeling of a body that is posing, but at the same time is twisting from the hips down. And sometimes when I work with the charcoal, as you can see, I'm using the lines to set down the form, and then I use a thicker piece of charcoal to almost creating a ghosty image of this figure. The reason is because creating a ghosty image, it becomes a little bit more easy to smear the charcoal on the surface of the paper, and then founding with new marks a better lines that looks a little more curvy, a little more gentle, a little bit more softer, and at the same time we say a little more with a sense a little more dynamic. try to find a little bit again some little better design, a little more better edge. So they will be it will become like the end. So this is the wrist. It goes down to the elbow, something like that. So as you can see, I'm kind of using my fingertips to mold a little bit of charcoal because it's really dusty. So not only I'm using the charcoal to draw, but also the fingertips to smear all the surface and create a sense of value, if I want to say something like that. It's a little too soon to say there's perfect value tone, but it kind of rendered the idea to simply smear a little bit of charcoal like that of how the shape, the form start to happen on the paper. So I have a little, the other legs going this way.
If you're still on your parents' phone plan and are nervous about getting your own, you could have individual plan phobia. But don't worry, US Cellular has your back with $400 back. That's right.
I hope you're enjoying what I'm doing here. And I teach any kind of medium, from painting, drawing, watercolors. And I've been doing this using Skype and Zoom, and it's been really nice. All my students have been enjoying to do this, and perhaps I start to have some new students from different parts of the globe, not only United States. This has been really fun for me and for the new students. Then they start to follow me on live streams, and they were really interested to start this little journey of learning how to draw. And drawing is really the core of Lero to exploring with colors and brush, pigment. So the learning to drawing really is like the key somehow, the same as will be to learning to write and read verbally. The only difference is that instead of using words, letters, and learning to spell individual words, it's literally learning to see what we observe with the exercise of learning to draw. So it's a really a nice, interesting way especially in this period right now, that we are pretty much, everybody's pretty much at home. So it's a nice, beautiful activity, mental activity, that gives a lot of way to use the time without feeling bored also sometimes. So as you can see, this kind of quick, really super quick little drawing. Then I kind of mold a little bit here on this piece of paper. And then when I do something like that, I like to spend a few minutes to just look in the whole idea and see if I can manipulate it a little bit in a way that might give a little more better, interesting way of seeing this little world. So what I'm doing, I'm just going over some lines. Now is where I start to curve, having a much more nicer, firm and slow movement with my hand, because I really want to look for this little movement that it gives a little better shape of this form, of this human form. Okay, a little bit here. See, it's a little bit more gentle. See, now I can see a little bit better the silhouette of the body, so I can be a little more specific, a little more precise with the shape. Okay. A little bit like that. Okay, so that's the lips. Right, so kind of like that. And that's the nostril somewhere here. Okay. Oops. Alright. So the charcoal now is shorter, smaller piece of stick, which is pretty good. Okay. I don't know if you can see, maybe I should move a little bit this. Let me see. I just noticed that. Okay. Something like that maybe work. Okay. So I kind of try to find a little bit better shape with this face. Of course, I don't want to look forward to make a portrait. This is just a little quick sketch, so I'm not looking for no beautiful portrait. It's a small little face. Then I just want to simply simulate. Okay. Okay. So with an eraser I'm gonna try to give a little bit of design. Actually, let's do like this. I want to just give an impression. See, now with a piece of paper, I just want to create some interesting movement, lines. I'm going to zoom that in a minute so you see what kind of interesting effects I start to generate. Just simply okay, let me show you close. If you can see a little bit like that. So as you can see, I'm trying to literally unleash a little bit with imagination this sense of human form. So after I smear the charcoal, I just kind of, with a piece of napkin, I kind of just really gently hit the piece of paper. I kind of create this little tiny little lines, movement, which I like. It kind of gives a sense of dynamic on the drawing. Like I said, this is not a specific realistic photorealistic drawing. It's just a little sketch, something that I like to do to experiment a little bit my imagination, the way I see forms, and at the same time increase a little bit the skill to working with this medium, which is called charcoal. And the beauty is that you can always go back, like I'm doing now, and mark some lines and makes it a little more defined. Okay, so I think I'm pretty good with this right now. I don't know, I hope you enjoy it to watch it. And then I will look forward to maybe continue tomorrow a little bit. So what I will do with this little charcoal, I will observe a little bit, seeing it for a little bit, and then I will spray with a fixative. So I will basically seal the little idea that I sketch quick in this piece of paper, and then I will maybe continue a little bit more with the charcoal and try to give a little more better detail. So perhaps I think I'm going to stop for tonight, and then tomorrow I will continue and put some little bit more detail. Well, I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you're having a beautiful weekend, and I look forward to see you next time. Alright, ciao, buonanotte, good night, ciao.